Hello, oh, maybe this light is better. All right. So I received a few questions about minhagim for the holiday of Shavuos, and so first things first is it really doesn't matter as long as you're following the halacha. The halachos are it's yantiv. You know you can't do malacha other than things that are for ochel nefesh, like cooking, lighting candles from pre-existing flame, carrying without an erev. Those are the things you are allowed to do. That you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, and everything else which you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov. Also, as far as Shabbos and Yom Tov, is before you eat at night, you make Kiddush, and the same thing really in the morning, also make Kiddush. A difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov, according to most opinions, is that on Shabbos we have 3 meals, Yom Tov we only have 2 meals each day, so tonight we'll have a meal, make the Yom Tov Kiddush with Shechianu, and wash and have a meal. In the daytime, just have the regular, Kiddush Arava, which is just the bracha on the beverage. And then at night, the same thing as tonight, tomorrow night, also the next day. And you go to shul and daven, or if you don't live within walking distance to a shul, you daven at home. Excuse me, it's Yom Tov davening, which means the Pesukei de Zimra is for Shabbos, the same. The brachas of Kriya Shema are for weekdays, and then the Shemona Esrei is a Yom Tov Shemona Esrei, and then the Musaf is a Yom Tov Musaf, and the Shemona Esrei for Yom Tov other than Musaf is the same. Also, so then at night, excuse me, basically, Mincha is a weekday Mincha today. Mariv would start by what would be like on the Shabbos davening with Baruch Hu. Instead of a Shamru, we say Vaydaber Moshe, and then we have a Yom Tov Shemona Esrei, and then Aleinu. Some have a psalm to say before Aleinu, particularly Sephardic traditions. Most Nusach Sfar doesn't have, although on Shabbos we generally do. Yom Tov we don't. We don't have the Bracha Mein Shalosh and all the Bracha Mein Sheva and those things on Yom Tov, unless it falls on Shabbos. Excuse me. And so the Shemona Esrei for Shachris Mincha Marav is the same. It's a Yom Tov Shemona Esrei, not a Shemona Esrei Amida. There's only 7 brachas. Excuse me. And then, excuse me. After Shachris, in the morning we have Hallel, and then of course, if you go to shul, there's Torah reading, two Torahs and the half Torah. If you don't go to shul, you can do the readings from the Chumash without any brachas if you wish. You're not obligated to, but I personally feel it's a nice thing to do, and I know many people do that. But that's basically it. It's just a regular plain Yom Tov. There's really nothing special as far as a mitzvah, meaning Pesach we have a Seder, we have the matzah, the maror. Sukkot we have the sukkah, and we have the lulav nesug, the dalad minim. Rosh Hashanah we have the shofar. Yom Kippur we have a fast. But Shavuos, like also Shmini Atzeres, we only have minhagim. Like Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah, we have the hakafas. And Shavuos, what are our minhagim for Shavuos? And so there are many, many different minhagim. So people ask me, and the 2 most prominent ones are staying up all night, learning, and eating dairy foods. Those are the 2 most well-known ones. So people ask me, what do I do? I recite the Tikkun Leil Shavuos, but only the Psukim, and then the Targum Mitzvahs if I have time, and the parts from the Zohar and the Sefer Yetzirah. But I don't say the Mishnayos. The Mekubalim say that we don't learn Mishnayos on the night of Shavuos. Theoretically, I would consider doing it the second night, perhaps, but excuse me, because but usually I'll look at the Mishnayos a little bit the second night. But that's my minhag of the Tikkun Leil Shavuos. Until Alois HaShachar, and there are different opinions of when is Alois HaShachar. Where I live, there's actually an opinion that 1:28 a.m. is Alois HaShachar, which is pretty early. Another opinion of 2:58 a.m., also pretty early. Usually I'll stay up till around that one, the one that's not the really early one, but the other one that's fairly early, around 3 a.m. Go in the mikveh. It's a big inyan going in the mikveh after Tikkun Leil Shavuos, even if you're going to go to sleep. But I don't. Even when I was younger, I would stay up the whole night and daven nets. Now, as usual, I'll stay up till Alos. Tonight, I might just stay up till 1:30. I might not stay up all the way till 3. I don't know. We'll see how things are going. And then, but before going to bed, go in the mikveh here where I live. I go in the lake, and then if I this way I'm well rested in the morning. There's none of the shilas that people have of staying up all night, the brachas and everything. Satmarav held that if you do stay up all night, you could say all the seder brachas. That was how he was noeg. Of course, there are different opinions in that, and most people will follow what it says in the Mishnah Berurah, but again, it's not universal. As we see, Satmarav didn't follow that. He just did the regular Seder Brachas, which he knew what he's doing, Elu v'elu dever lekim chayim. Now, and I'm sure he knew the Mishnah Berurah, just he did what he saw by his father, Mustam, and his Rebbeim. Next question is the milchigs, eating dairy foods. So what I've seen both by Litvish and Hasidic circles, although I've seen other practices as well, certain people, they just have a milchig suda. The whole suda will be milchig. Some people will, at the beginning of the fleishig suda, eat milchigs, and then rinse out their mouths and continue the suda. The minhag that I have that I saw both Versameach, which follows the standard Litvish approach, and which is the minhag of the vast majority of the Hasidim, is that all the meals that we wash or eat are fleishig. A regular yontif meal, make kiddush, hamoitzi, you have fish, you have soup, and you have meat. Second day yontif, generally by most the tzaddikim, instead of soup they would have borscht. I don't always do that. Sometimes I consider it. It depends if I have borscht. I personally prefer just a regular soup, but once in a while I consider that. And meat with a side dish like farfel. Farfel is a standard Hasidic side dish. I bedavka, at least for most of the meals, would like to have beef for the meal, although by the night that might make it sleepy, so that I might have chicken, but for the night meal, because it's better to have something a little lighter. But otherwise, beef, it's what's for dinner and for lunch. Have beef and chicken. Shabbos, I always have poultry, but I don't always have beef. But Yontiv always have beef, don't always have poultry. Sometimes one or the other. So when do we eat the milchigs? So the way we do it in my home, and this is what Satmarav did, this is what most of the Chassidim do, this is what even most of the Hamish, Haredish, Litvish do, is that you, like how usually you make kiddush in shul, before you wash. When you get shul, you make kiddush on Yom Tov morning, the same like Shabbos morning, and have mezainas. So that's when I would have. Meaning when I get home, generally with my family, we'll make kiddush and we'll make mezainis on something. Cheese kreplach is a traditional food by the Hungarians, and I also have blintzes. I like to have also parva blintzes by the other sudas um, of Shavuos, with the meat, which is, I'm an American. Um, but on by the in the morning of Shavuos tomorrow morning, after we come home from shul, what I do is make kiddush, make mezainis, and also eat some other milchige foods. Make shahakal and something else with milchig. Like I said, cheese kreplach, blintzes, ice cream, cheesecake, all of these things, and we enjoy ourselves. Maybe sing a little bit, and then when we're done with that, we learn for an hour before we have the Suda. This way there should be the Zohar Kaddish. Even though according to Halacha you can eat meat right after milk, the Zohar Kaddish says there should be an hour. You shouldn't eat meat and milk in the same hour, which works both ways. And so therefore, this was the minig Vlad Tzadikim. Satmarov was more strict. He didn't eat the cheese from the kreplach. He would just eat like the dough and didn't eat the cheese inside, because he was strict to wait 6 hours after even soft cheeses, which is not the halacha. Only hard cheeses. You have to wait 6 hours before eating meat, but he was machmir like that. But that's not standard, and that's not what I do. I wait an hour after. Most people wait a half hour between milchigs and fleishigs. I try to wait an hour if I remember. And that's what we do Shavuos. We learn during that time. That's when, like for example, by the Satmarav and even the Satmarav now would be, and by old tzaddikim, that's when you'd have like a lamda shashir, a pilpul, something, meaning at night it would just be like what the Satmarav did was he would say Tikkun Leil Shavuos before he made Kiddush, and then he'd make Kiddush by the Tish, and then by the Tish he'd say Torah. They would sing, and many tzaddikim have such a minhag to say Tikkun Leil Shavuos before Kiddush, but in the Litvish Oilam, some people say Tikkun Leil Shavuos, but others they just learn the regular learning, or in America. Generally, they have shiurim, they have lectures. You go and you listen to lectures from the rabbi at shul, and maybe they have guest speakers to keep the people up all night on Shavuos night. So, like I said, by the tzaddikim would be like this. They would say Tikkun Leil Shavuos, and then make kiddush and have the suda. And during the suda, the tish, they all ate at home. And they come to the tish. And by the Tish, the Rebbe would say Torah, but the real shir, like what the Americans would have at night, by most of the Chassidish tzaddikim, by the Hungarian Galicianer, would be that during the day, after the krepel Tish, would eat the cheese kreplach, they eat the milchig suda, which is not generally washing, well, some people do. But by then there would be a shir. It would be very intense. Usually lamdish, a pilpul, a halacha, gemara, not chassidish maises. Real serious learning. And then some people make kiddush again. It's not necessary really, but you could. And then you wash and you have the suda, which is fleshing. Now, hagas by these sudas, just different things. The Satmarav would sing by the sudas Havarabba, the bracha that we say before Kriya Shema in the morning. And he had a nigun to it, and you can find online the nigun, very beautiful. And also during the davening, he would also sing like that. And this was by many tzaddikim. It's a big Indian to on Shavuos, that the bracha of Ahava Rabbah before Kriya Shema, and actually Ahava Solam by at night also, to have more kavana and more devekus by that bracha. On Shavuos, that's a focus in Shavuos, is how much God loves us, and that how He demonstrated it to us by giving the Torah. So that's also sung by the Sudas, and then by the second day it might be Samarov would sing from the Rosh Hashanah davening. Neglesa, Ata Neglesa. That's on the second day. But anyway, as far as the what's that? As far as the by the day Suda, then there's another minig is that near the end of the Suda, there's from Rabbi Yisrael Najara, who wrote the Kari Bone. He's one of the Gurei Arizal. And he wrote a beautiful text for the first day of Shavuos is the Shtar Tanoim, the engagement contract between God and the Jewish people, and then on the second day, by the Suda, is the Shtar Ksubta, the Ksuba, the marriage contract between God and the Jewish people. And it's quite beautiful, and it's a little bit entertaining to read if you follow along in a holy way, and it's fun to read, and that's if you understand what you're reading, and so that's what we have on during that Suda, and then afterwards to have fritterlach, some fritters, is a minhag by many tzaddikim. I'll have some kind of like little pancakes or something. And that is basically those are the minhagim of Shavuos. To say Tillim is also important. David HaMelech tells stories about Baal Shem Tov's yard site, things like that are nice also. At the end of the day, we might get together, Nilas Chag, something like that, depends. But it's in general, it's a very nice yontiv. It's like I said in the previous video, the old Babas would say that Shavuos is the best of yontiv because you can eat what you want, where you want, when you want. It's a geschmack yontiv. One thing I would like to say is that if something is too difficult for health reasons, don't push yourself. Don't force yourself to eat milchiks if you're lactose intolerant. If you're able to eat a little bit, as a zeicher and it's not going to hurt you, but don't go overboard. And also staying up all night, same thing. Akdamis Milan is such a beautiful thing in Rus on the second day, and if you have those minhagim, which most people do, and how do you have kavana for? I remember Bialer ever said to me, "How do you have kavana for akdamus if you stayed up all night?" I also like to say the yaitzers if I can. In my shul we don't say it, but I like to say it. Try to keep up with it, whatever. While they're saying the chassaros shots, say it quickly or something, or at least parts of it. But again, no, people shouldn't go overboard. You're making tremendous tikkunim, you don't realize what you're doing. It's not that hard, it's not that difficult, it's not that complicated. Just fearing sich ehrlich and keeping the Yom Tov, you're zeicher to tremendous things. Don't be discouraged. It's a tremendous time. We're all zeicher to Kabbalah Torah now. We should be zeicher to licht the Kabbalah Torah. Thank you. God bless. Good Yom Tov.